Okay, well, I'm really excited to be here today with Judy. And Judy and I are going to talk about and explore what it means to be a type one on the Enneagram who goes through a personal transformation. And why I was really inspired by Judy's story is really that it kind of shows what is possible. So the Enneagram often shows us what our personality structure is, what our habitual way of thinking, feeling, behaving, but it doesn't always show us that that's the starting point, that our personality for all of us gets to a place where it doesn't work for us anymore. And that's when we really begin that true journey of coming home to ourselves, our true selves. And so Judy's journey has been so deeply inspiring to me that I was just really excited for her to share it with others. So, Judy, thank you so much for sharing, for doing this with us today. We really appreciate it. And we would love to hear from you about sharing a little bit about what you were experiencing emotionally, mentally before you started the journey. So, what was it that you said, you know what, this just isn't really working anymore?
Um, I was in a really low place. I was not happy. I was tired all the time. And I was searching for something. I was going to circles. I was reading many books from all different types of authors. And I felt lost. I didn't know what I wanted, but I didn't know what to do either. So it was almost in a limbo. Um,
Mm,
I didn't like the way I was. I couldn't understand why I was like that. If I didn't like it, why was I like that?
right.
So um, when I found your book in the store, I went to this little store we have in Vernon, and it has some awesome books. And your book almost fell into my lap. Honestly, it was
Wow.
there, and I moved it, then I picked it up. And once I read your book, honestly, it made sense that what I was going through, because I thought I was the only one in the world that was going through this. It,
Mm,
yeah, I was pretty lost.
So, how is that? Well, first of all, I just think that's so cool. Like, well, not that you were lost, but sometimes that is exactly where it all starts, is it's like we have to be lost in order to then find ourselves. And so, obviously I was in a similar place. Um, but what I think is so cool is hearing how a book, something jumped out at you that you were meant to have. And so when you say you were lost, when things weren't working, you were going to circles, you were reading this, you were doing that. Like, how were you feeling inside? Like, what was it? Was it in your thinking? Was it feeling? Like, were you not sleeping?
Oh,
Were
oh,
you irritable? Like, what was it?
okay. Well, all of the above.
Okay.
I was cranky, and I'd be um, no had no patience for anything at all. Work, I would work myself to death, and because then it stopped my head from thinking, it stopped me from feeling, um, and I was sort of just I was almost frozen. I don't know how to explain it, but I had no feelings. I didn't feel anything,
Um,
and
okay.
I didn't like it. I knew I could feel, but I just yeah, I was anger. The anger came before anything else. I was always angry.
Okay, so you're feeling angry. You were
Yeah,
keeping yourself busy. And
yeah.
I guess I think it might be helpful for me just to do a really quick summary of what is the type one, and also known as the perfectionist or the reformer, about what is that type structures habit. So a habitual way of thinking, feeling, behaving. So the type one really has a deep desire to improve either themselves, could be the world, could be other. other people. So they have a really deep desire to kind of make things right and to improve things. And they really value integrity, being very responsible, doing the right things,
Yeah.
doing it in the right way. And this kind of, and has a very, very strong inner critic. So can
Yeah.
be kind of really hard on themselves. And they're in the kind of the body triad. And so um kind of their core, one of the emotions that can be challenging is anger. Sometimes for some of the type ones, they can kind of suppress that anger because it's not okay to be angry. Other type ones are more, they really feel their anger. And so it just kind of depends on the type of the instinct of the type. But this kind of inner sense of responsible and doing the right thing and liking to be in control and having a really strong inner critic can cause over time a lot of inner stress. So the same thing that helps us to survive at some point starts to suffocate us. We get suffocated by these patterns and causes a lot of inner stress, frustration, like you said, when things don't go as planned, feeling out of control, constant kind of pressure, and feeling a sense of kind of overwhelm. And so what you just described all is a description of where people often start. So and start to go, okay, this isn't working. I don't know why.
Yeah.
What is going on? You know? So, because it's kind of, we're not aware of it. It's the way we've always been.
Yeah.
And, I know my husband's a type one, and when he learned he was a type one and I learned he was a type one, and he looked at me, he goes, don't you have that inner critic? Don't you always? And I was like, no, I mean, I have different issues and struggles that cause my inner stress. And there was just this deep sense of awareness of, wow, we don't all see the world, and also a deep sense of compassion, So, so thank you for sharing kind of what those some of those struggles, what they look like in your life. And so, how how was it? What was it like for you to learn that you saw the world through the lens of an Enneagram Type 1? What was that like for you?
Actually, when I read the book and then we talked about it and saw some videos, I was like, oh my God, thank you. I'm not alone. There is a reason I'm like
Uh,
this, like, holy cow, I'm not weird. And, there's room for improvement because then, in the book, it shows your wings and things. And I thought, oh my God, it felt like the weight was lifted off my shoulders that I was not weird. I wasn't, there was nothing really wrong with me.
oh,
Because I
wow.
walked around for a long time thinking that there's something wrong with me because I'm always angry and I'm always frustrated. And why aren't these people doing the right thing and control? And I didn't want to be like that, but yeah. I,
Right. Oh, I think you just described that so beautifully, is like that sense of relief when we go, oh, this helps to explain so much. And in some ways, I know a lot of people can also feel almost a sense of sadness, like there's a sense of, okay, this is good, and I'm not alone. And these are habits that I can now see, but also almost a sense of sadness, or um, um, that we've been kind of going through the world without even being aware of why we are kind of suffering more, why we're struggling more. So it was a big thing for you to see that. And it's like that Dan Siegel talks about, like he talks about this with kids, but when you can name it, you can tame it.
yes.
So it's like, okay, now I can see this, I can name this.
Yeah.
Now I can grow.
Yeah.
Now I can have that piece of, I can grow towards freedom from this, that there is another way. So, um, So I know that obviously things like meditation, you started that very early in the journey. I think probably before you even learned of your type,
Yeah.
you started a very basic meditation practice. So what did that feel like for you?
The meditation pro.
Yeah.
Um, oh, I've always meditated, but not every day. Like I'd meditate here and there. And when I started doing it every day, even twice a day, what a game changer for me because it really,
Mm,
really calmed me down. It took me out of
mm,
my head, out of my thinking of that everything has to be done before I can sit down and relax, or because I'm
mm.
a perfectionist and I need things done. Um, that really helped me to sit down and let go of the control for a minute. So it really helped
Mm.
me slow down, calm down, and then I can see things better, see things with a wider lens than just my focus point.
Oh, that's really powerful. I've heard from so many people that are type ones that see the world through the type one lens because I don't like to label people. Like the Enneagram helps us get out of the box, like
Yeah,
we're in a box and now I can get out of the box. But when we start from that place of type one, I've heard so many Enneagram type ones say, it's like I have to get all the stuff done. I have to be responsible, get the stuff done. Like I can't play, I can't relax until I get the stuff done.
yeah,
And and so what you described around a very basic, simple, even but regular meditation practice, that truly is beautiful because it sounds like that was really, well, it's an act of self-love and self-kindness and but starting to give yourself the permission to nourish yourself and to maybe settle a bit of that inner critic that
yeah.
is always there.
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
did. So I noticed when I was really busy at work or wherever, and I was just go, 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 and I didn't meditate, that inner critic just came flying back, and it was like, okay, I don't like this, and
Mm,
I didn't feel as calm and focused as I do when I meditate.
okay. So you've got to that place that is kind of a gift, it seems like, when we get to that place where we feel the difference between how we feel when we don't meditate, just like how we feel when we don't brush our teeth,
Yeah,
as compared to, okay, this is how I feel. And I think that was one of the things I so admire about you and your work is you took it like we talk about this in the Enneagram world of it's not just about knowing your type. It's that's the starting point. But by you sitting down and committing to actually practice, you're changing the whole physiology in your body. You're changing the relationship with your thoughts. You're changing your habits and you're building new ones that are more nourishing. And I think that's so inspiring for people to hear that.
yeah. It really helped me, like you said, give some self-love because I
Oh,
was not very self-love. I give love to everybody else and look after everybody else because that's what I do. And it was the first time that it was for me. And so it's
oh.
helped me to say, no, it's my time. This is for me now. I'm old enough now that I can do this. I'm tired of being that way. I want to be this way. So, yeah,
Oh, so what has that self-love then kind of opened up for you? Like what does that how has that shifted things for you?
tremendously. I let go of control. Control was a big thing for me um, because nobody could do it better than me, right? So that was just amazing actually to let go of that control. I'm more, I, it's not that I don't care. I do care. It's just, it doesn't bother me anymore. If, if I don't have this on my desk and I don't get it done, it's okay. It's fine. Whereas
Mhm.
before I would not take breaks and I just do it, do it, do it. Now it's, no, I'm not. I'm going to look after me now. It's me time.
Mhm. That's really beautiful. So, so you described some of the words you used to describe yourself in terms of when you started was kind of lost, confused, kind of overwhelmed, frustrated, angry, not really understanding why, but just searching for answers, but not really finding the answers. How would you describe yourself now?
Um, I think I would describe myself that I still have a lot of work to do. It's an ongoing process because one
Mhm.
day you'll flip back to the happen, but I don't get down on myself if I don't.
Mhm.
My inner critic comes back again. Um, I'm calmer.
Mhm.
I'm more laid back. I
Mhm.
look at things different, and I look at things as a lesson, not as a you did it to make me mad. It's like it's a lesson, right? And I see things clearer now when I the little
Mhm.
things that happen in the universe, that these little nudges or intuition,
Mhm.
I finally can hear them now,
Mhm.
and I'm listening to them, which is before
Oh,
you couldn't hear them over the chatter in my head.
wow.
Yeah. That's what
Wow.
I think is more amazing is that I'm seeing those little intuitions coming up. I'm seeing the lessons and I'm looking at people. And I don't look at, I used to look at people like, why are you that way? You need to be this way. Now I'm looking at and looking at them and saying, think to myself, not to them, looking at the lessons they're learning, right? And, you know, if
Mhm.
I can say something or help them in any way, I'm just open. And if they come and talk to me, I talk to them. And before I wouldn't even look at people. I'd just be hurrying around getting things done.
Wow. So I feel like what you described, and I think I've heard you say before, just a deeper sense of freedom, like freedom of kind of to be yourself and to give yourself permission and to love yourself and to kind of break free of some of these chains. And I think I think that's so powerful. Like and then what you just described, I think is so inspiring. And when we can evolve and for two things. One, we're never it's not like we've ever arrived, like, oh, we're this, but we can see things clearly and we can see when we go back into that pattern or that habit that isn't serving us, and then we know how to course correct. But I also love how you said how doing the work has now created space for you to get more into the flow, like and get the synchronicities and the kind of the stuff that opens all up when we get past, when we get out of the box,
Yeah,
when we bust out, when we're more free.
yeah.
Wow, that's
Beautiful
really great.
things, really shines through. It's freeing.
Very,
It's
it's
freeing.
freeing. Wow. How long was this journey? I mean, how long was it from kind of this time you said, okay, I'm gonna do some of this self exploration and discover yourself and start practicing with some tools? How long? Like months, years, you know?
I've been searching for years, for 18 years actually, and nothing. I just, I understood it all. I know that it happens, but I just couldn't find my way. And then when I started working with you, so it was maybe started in September and it's February, 4 or 5 months, and it's still an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
Um, and every day gets better. It's not, I mean, I'll have a day where we jump back a step and I shake my head and nope, not doing that sort of thing. But yeah, but it's constant work. You can't just, okay, now I'm done this course. I'm just gonna go back to, you can't do that. You have to keep working and keep doing your meditations. And now I'm working on prayers and
Uh,
on a prayer thing and yeah, doing exercise and enjoying it and having fun and
oh, that's so amazing. And that's the part that for the type one that gets lost in the sense of responsibility and doing it right and is what, we can call the soul child of a type one is that type seven, which is the adventure and fun and spontaneous
yeah.
and not so responsible and I mean you'll always those will always be your superpowers. But now there's the balance of that, like what you said, there's a balance of, yes, you have every type brings their superpowers, but now you are allowing in that part of you left behind to survive, that fun spontaneous, like your dance and your movement and being a little more spontaneous. So that's beautiful. So I also heard you. Can you just tell us a bit about how it's impacted your energy? Like, I know at the start where you were feeling overwhelmed, you really struggled with energy, just having that sense of vitality. What have you noticed around? Has there been any shift in that vitality and that energy?
I think a little bit. And I think the winter to me is I get, because I don't go outside, I don't like the cold. And so, um, but I notice my vitality and I'm up and doing more things and I'm exercising in the house and stuff. I can't wait to be outside. Um,
Mhm.
I'm not as tired. I still sleep late, but I enjoy it now. I don't lay in bed thinking, I gotta get up and do things. I just, today's it's yucky outside. I'm gonna stay in bed. Um, I don't beat myself up about not doing things as well. If I don't feel
Mhm.
like vacuuming, I'm not gonna vacuum anymore. Whereas before I needed to have that done before I could relax. But um,
Mhm.
I think I'm more vibrant, but in a slower way. It's hard, like,
Oh.
you know what I mean? It's just,
Oh, more vibrant, but in a slower way.
yeah, before I was
Oh.
constantly on the go, 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 and I was panicky and like always, your adrenals are just fighting, right? Now I've got energy and I'm just calm about it. I just, whatever I want to do, I can do.
Wow. That's really a beautiful way to describe it. Like as you were talking, it reminds me of like that. I think it's David Hawkins' work in his book around power versus force. Like there's energy required, but one is a forcing it. It's the energy of forcing, which is ultimately draining. It's trying to force things and make things happen and push and drive. But then there's the authentic power, like the seat of the soul, like Gary Zukav is like that power. So you still create, you still do things, but it's not a forcing, it's an allowing. So you just described that really, really beautifully.
I just, yeah, I don't know. It's just, I'm happy, which has been a long time coming.
You're- oh my goodness, you're happy. Which is
It's a weird
and
feeling for me because I
oh,
haven't had, I've never let my emotions come out because I couldn't. I had to be strong and raise my kids, and so my emotions didn't. So it's now I'm starting to understand emotions, especially with that heart math that you did. It's really helping me understand my emotions and why I'm and how I'm feeling them and why am I feeling them, and is it a good feel or a bad feel? It's really
mm.
eye-opening to understand emotions when you haven't had them for how many years I'm how old I am. Yeah.
Yes, and I mean what you're referring to, I think we did that heart math journey together to learn the heart math tools, which are emotional regulation and on the go tools. And I think a big lesson for me too with that was it was a group of women. And I think the big lesson is sometimes I think the stereotype is, oh, women are good at their emotions and they know their emotions and men aren't. And I don't think that's the case at all. Like, I think for all of us in that, and for someone like I've been meditating every day for 10 years, there's so much I learned about emotions that I was like, the
Yeah.
the deep understanding of in the moment emotions. And I was like, oh, we can't just assume that men are no good at emotions and women, well, no, women, we and our type structures of our personalities really help to explain why where we might get stuck with our emotions. So even that gender stereotype, I think, is doesn't do any of us favors. We all
No,
have to become more emotionally aware. And so but that takes courage to do that. Like, I
it
think
does.
that. So can you speak to that? Can you speak to that courage? What about this takes courage?
Um, I think if I had to step out of my comfort zone, that's huge. It's huge, and to let go of the control that I thought I had um, was really, really huge for me. That comfort zone I had, and I've had it for many, many years, it was tough to step a little bit out to see what was on the other side. Um, in my life, I've done what I've had to do to survive through a lot of trauma and a lot of things. Um, and it was that comfort zone of even coming and talking to somebody was huge for me. It just,
Mm.
it was scary. It was because I keep everything close to me, right? And now I'm letting it out. Like I'm not holding it anymore. So I'm not getting an upset stomach. And
Oh, oh, interesting. So you're noticing even a new way of being that is obviously for all of us always a work in progress, but there's definitely a big shift.
yes,
There's a transformation. And you're noticing it's having physical. You're seeing like you're not getting that stomach stuff and or you're noticing like so physically, do you feel that it's shifted things in
I
you?
believe so. I do because I'm not stressed out. When I get stressed out, I get cold sores and I get upset stomachs and stuff. And um, I mean, I have a bad. I I have some physical things that aren't quite right yet, but it's coming, which is a nice
Oh,
step forward. And this self love now is also letting me starting to help myself get better. So finding out ways to help my stomach heal. And instead, before I used to just eat what I had to and go and do what I had to, right? So now I'm sitting and eating properly. And so I think that courage for me to step out of my box is helped me, that self-love has helped me try to fix myself, like physically, like I do have a problem and it needs to be
Yeah.
done. And
Yeah.
so it works. Like it just, because of self-love, you're looking after yourself. Your body is a temple. And if you're not looking after it, you're not going to be around much longer.
Oh, I love, I think even honestly, it takes courage to, I call it kind of radical responsibility. Like, like you talked about the self-love, but also that piece of self kind of regulation and meditation, and the body wants to heal. So even though it's still always, oh my goodness, like, and I've gone through myself of the symptoms, the physical issues I had were signs of stuff inside not being in alignment, and starting with my nervous system. And then it was self-love. And then and the more I created those inner, just like you described, I started to heal,
Yeah.
like physically as well as, physical changes that were very physical manifestations of. So I think that's really inspiring. I think that's really inspiring, and it takes courage. And I truly believe, I feel, and how you've described how things are healing. And then that self-love of creating the space, and what do I need to do to create that space for nature to do what nature does, and that's heal us when we have that alignment. So that is so beautiful. So um, before I ask you the final kind of question and we wrap up, I really just want to say a huge deep bow to you, because it's not an easy journey. It takes courage all the way along. It from the very start throughout. And what is so inspiring, I think, for me and for others is you just described truly what it looks like and what it feels like and what it means to transform, to transform, even in maybe the cheesy metaphor of the caterpillar that's just gouging on all the beliefs and this and the inner unrest, and the past history and the traumas and the emotional suppression and all this stuff. Gout, we're caterpillars, and then we go into the cocoon, and that's where you were in your cocoon of shifting and getting rid of all that stuff to create this space. Not for it, it does miraculously happen, but you still do the work for it,
Yeah.
for the miracles to happen. It's like
Yeah.
you just, oh, it's not, you still did the work. You sat down and you meditated and you practiced heart math, and you started to have the courage to look at your habits, and you made the intention, I'm going to change them. And then you know, that's what happens in the cocoon. And then you come out to move through life in a new way. And moving, like you said, isn't mean you'll never have a hard, life will never be challenging again or nothing. Like it just, you see it different, you experience it different, you see the world, and that what you described is what's possible, and
Yes.
is the ultimate of transformation in a very real sense as a human being living a human life with physical things and challenging relationships like it. So that is so deeply inspiring. And so to wrap up with your one final kind of, well, before I ask you the final question, is there anything that you want to just share that you haven't already about um, what this has been for you?
Um, I I hope that people watching this will see that yes, it is hard, but it's doable. And um, whether you're a 1 or a 7 or a 9, we're all humans and we all have our baggage and we all have our little hope cocoons that we stay in because we think it's safe. But you know what? It's so much nicer on the other side. It's like the sunshine, like you're kind of in a little bit of dark. You get out and you're in the sunshine, and it feels good.
Oh, the sunshine on your face.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so beautiful. So, the final question for me to you is looking ahead, what excites you? What excites you about this new way of being?
Um, well, what excites me is I'm looking forward to doing more things by myself, which I would never have thought about before. Um,
Mm.
I want to travel. I know I'm going to Italy in the fall with my kids, and I'm going to do a week by myself, which I would never have thought of. Like, oh my goodness, no. But I'm excited about going out and just being, because everything
Oh,
before seemed to be a chore. It was always, even to go kayaking, to go golfing, which I love. It just, there was so much. It was just too much. I was tired, and I like, I'm looking forward to now being able to go out and golf and really enjoy it, because
oh,
honestly, it just felt like a chore when I was doing things. I'm looking forward to the being and just doing
oh,
is what I'm excited about.
oh. Well, you surely have your wings. I can see them, I can feel them, and that's so inspiring. And so I really do want to thank you for sharing your journey with us and inspiring us. And um, yeah, I'm just really deeply grateful. So thank you, Judy.
Well, thank you, Bev, for being there and helping me through some really tough times and getting me started and kind of pushing me a little bit, because that's what I needed. And you know what? I think you saved my life.
Oh
So
my
thank you.
goodness. What a deep joy for me. Thank you.